Are the parents in your studio pushing you around a little bit? Whether it's about payments or pedagogy, this is pretty common for new, inexperienced or younger teachers. If we haven't met yet, I'm Nicola and I'm from Dublin, Ireland, where I teach piano, and I started teaching at around age 16. So I'm very experienced with this idea of being a young teacher and not being quite sure of how to stand up to parents who are that much older than you. Let's start with your documents. Even if you're just getting started, even if you've got your first couple of students, I want you to put together some documents. They don't have to be difficult, they don't have to be super fancy. You can put them together in something like Canva, Google Docs, or Microsoft Word. It really doesn't matter. But you put together a payment sheet, so a list of your fees or fee information, a list of policies, they can be very simple, and a calendar or a list of your studio breaks if you can't figure out how to set up a calendar. We actually have a template for this in the Colourful Keys store if you want to check that out. That one works in Canva, so it's super handy to use. Now, if you get this set up and you put your studio name at the top, maybe you have a logo that you made up yourself, or maybe you don't. That's fine. You don't need a logo, but put a studio name, even if it's just like Alyssa's Piano Studio, and the year or academic year, like 2022 to 23 or 27 to 28, whenever you're doing this, and just have it as a document that you give to people. It makes an enormous difference just for them to see she's thinking this through, she's treating it as a business. Even if she's 16, I better not, mess her around because she means this to be a professional studio. Okay, number 2 is about clothes. Now, I hate to say dress for success or say anything about how people should dress because I think people should dress the way that they want to dress. And for me, yeah, that's a little bit bonkers. But I do think we need to have a certain level of professionalism within the way we dress, or a certain dress code for ourselves, just for those days when you're feeling super tired and you don't necessarily want to change out of your yoga leggings. Maybe you will if you've decided you don't wear yoga leggings for work, just as an example. Maybe you are going to exclusively wear yoga leggings for work. But what I want you to think about is what your dress code could be is if you were an employee, an employer and an employee, even though you're one person, and maybe think about what school teachers would wear in your area, because that varies a lot by community. So in some areas it's fine to wear shorts and sandals as a school teacher. In some areas they wear suits. And I do think dressing a certain way that sort of matches roughly what a school teacher might wear, the level of professionalism, the level of formality they might have in their clothes, helps parents to put us in the same category as a professional teacher. We are not a hobby piano teacher. Even if this is a part-time thing, it doesn't mean it's a hobby. It doesn't mean you're taking it lightly. And they can see that you dress a certain way for that. So for me and the teachers that work here, it's just about wearing obviously clean, put together clothes, no like ripped jeans or tracksuit bottoms. That's sort of the level we're at. I'm fine with dark colored jeans with a t-shirt is fine. We don't need to go fancier than that, but they shouldn't be sort of grungy looking and they shouldn't be things you would wear to the gym. Tip number 3 is to take your time when it comes to difficult questions or situations. So when you feel put on the spot, design a little phrase that you can say that is going to buy you some time to think about it. Such as, parent, you're on the way out the door and the parent says, oh, when is she going to be ready to do an exam, or something about the payments or whatever. Design a little phrase for yourself, such as, oh, that's a good question. I want to make sure I answer it fully, so I'll email you later today because I really have to stay on my schedule right now. Something that says, I value your question, I'm going to take it seriously, but I'm not going to answer it on the spot because I feel put on the spot. Don't say that, but that's what you're doing, is you're taking yourself out of that situation in a way that gives you time to craft a thoughtful response if it is a trickier question. Now, if it is, can I pay you late, or can I have a discount? The answer's just no. Okay. Number 4 is your policies. So we talked about the physical policy sheet, but the most important part of your policies is not that they're on a sheet. It's that you stick to them. Okay, so like we were saying about the payments or any other issue that might come up, if you've come up with your policies, stick to them like glue, because all you're doing by giving people favors is teaching them to break your policies. You're training them that the policies don't matter. And they do, because you have to be fair to everyone and to all the other commitments you have outside of teaching in your life. And my final tip is to make sure to update parents. A lot of what I was missing in the beginning, why parents pushed for exams in my case, or certain things, or different books, or whatever, was because I wasn't really communicating to parents the progress that was happening. So come up with some kind of system, as informal or formal as you like, for updating parents about the progress that is happening. Maybe you just send them an email once a month about that month's progress. Maybe you send them photos from the lesson when something cool happens. Make sure you have permission to take those photos, but that can be a good system. Or some other system. We have 3 times a year we send out progress updates to our parents, which are laid out sort of in a Google Doc, although we share them via my music staff. The details of that aren't important, but we do have a separate video about that. Whatever way you choose to do it, make sure you're updating parents about the progress that is happening, about your plans and your goals for that student. Because a lot of the time, I think parents end up thinking that we don't have a plan because we haven't communicated it with them. And that's when they start pushing to run the show, because they think, I've hired this young teacher for whatever reason, they were close by or whatever, but I'm going to need to push them because they don't have the maturity to do that. But if you are planning, make sure you share that plan with them, give them an overview in non-musician specific terms, in non-expert terms of what is happening, what great progress you're making, and where you're planning to go next. If you happen to watch this video out of curiosity maybe, and you're not such a new or young teacher, I would love to hear your tips for those new and young teachers out there. Leave them in the comments so we can start a group brainstorm for all the things we wish we knew when we were just starting out.